I'm Dr. Christy, and this is Climbing Fish Parenting, practical parenting strategies in 20 minutes or less. I'm a psychologist and behavior analyst, and I work with exhausted, overwhelmed parents who feel like they've tried everything and nothing works. If you're listening to this while folding the laundry, hiding in your car, or wishing bedtime would just end already, you're in the right place. Today's topic is something I know is making your life absolutely exhausting. What happens when you tell your child no and it triggers a complete meltdown? The screaming, the negotiating, the bargaining, the full body collapse on the floor. By the end of this episode, you'll understand why your child reacts this way and have concrete strategies to help them build frustration tolerance without compromising your own sanity in the process. Ready to transform your parenting journey? Let's dive in. Let me start with this. If saying no to your child feels like you're detonating a bomb in your own home, you are not alone. And I need you to know something critical right up front. This isn't happening because you've spoiled your child or because you're a bad parent. There are very specific reasons why some kids absolutely fall apart when they hear the word no, and once you understand what's actually happening in their brain and nervous system, you can help them build the skills they need. So let's break this down. Here's what I need you to understand. Kids today are living in an entirely different world than the one we grew up in, and that world is making frustration tolerance significantly harder to develop. Think about it. When you were a kid, what happened when you were bored? You waited. You sat in the car and stared out the window. You waited for your TV show to come on at 7:30 on Thursday night. No streaming, no on-demand, just waiting. You wanted to talk to your friend? You called their house phone, and if they weren't home, you just waited until later. Your brain got thousands of repetitions of small frustrations, followed by delayed gratification. That's how frustration tolerance gets built, through practice. Now look at your child's world. They're bored in the car? Hand them a tablet. They want to watch a show? Pull it up instantly. They want to talk to a friend? Text them right now and get a response in seconds. They want a new toy? Order it on Amazon and it arrives tomorrow. I'm not saying this to make you feel guilty about screen time or Amazon Prime. I'm saying this so you understand. Your child's brain has had significantly fewer opportunities to practice waiting, tolerating discomfort, and managing disappointment. They're not weaker than previous generations. They're just under-practiced in this specific skill. And here's what makes it even harder. If your child has ADHD, autism, anxiety, or sensory sensitivities, if they're wired differently, their baseline ability to manage frustration is already compromised. Their nervous system is more reactive. Their emotional regulation system is less developed. So when you add a world that rarely requires them to wait for anything, you get a child who completely falls apart at the word no. This is critical to understand because it means the solution isn't just be firmer or stop giving in. The solution is recognizing that your child genuinely doesn't have the skill yet, and you need to build it systematically and intentionally. Before we talk about what to do with your child, we need to talk about you. Because here's what's actually happening in a lot of homes. You're terrified to say no. And I get it. When you say no and your child has a massive meltdown, it's exhausting. It's embarrassing if you're in public. It disrupts your entire day. It makes you feel like a bad parent. So you start avoiding no altogether. You say yes when you want to say no. You negotiate when you should hold firm. You give in after the third time they ask because you just cannot handle another battle today. Here's what I need you to know. That pattern is making everything worse. When you're inconsistent with your boundaries, when no sometimes means no, and sometimes means if you push hard enough, it'll turn into yes, you're teaching your child that escalation works. You're teaching them that big emotions get them what they want, and you're reinforcing exactly the behavior you're trying to eliminate. I know you're doing it because you're exhausted. I know you're doing it because you love your child and you hate seeing them suffer. But your job as a parent isn't to prevent all discomfort. It's to teach your child how to tolerate discomfort and move through it. So here's your first step. Get comfortable with saying no. Not mean, not harsh, not punitive, just calm, firm, and consistent. No is a complete sentence. No doesn't require an extensive justification. No is an act of love because it teaches your child they can survive disappointment. If you struggle with this, if you carry guilt about setting boundaries, or if you find yourself caving constantly, that's the first thing we need to fix. Because your child will never build frustration tolerance if you're not willing to give them opportunities to practice it. Here's the framework that changes everything. Empathy first, boundary second. You can validate your child's feelings while still holding the limit. In fact, you must do both. Let me show you what this looks like in action. Your 6-year-old asks for a cookie before dinner. You say no. They start to escalate. But I'm starving. You never let me have anything. This is so unfair. Here's what most parents do. They either give in to stop the meltdown, or they get frustrated and say something like, I said no, stop whining. Here's what actually works. I hear you. You really wanted that cookie, and you're disappointed that the answer is no. It's hard to wait when you're hungry, and we're eating dinner in 15 minutes, so the answer is still no. Notice what happened? You validated the feeling. You didn't dismiss it or minimize it. You acknowledged that disappointment is real and hard, but you didn't change the boundary. This is critical because your child needs to learn that big feelings are okay, but big feelings don't change the rules. They can be sad, angry, frustrated. All of that is allowed. What's not allowed is getting their way through escalation. Let's try another one. Your 9-year-old wants more screen time. You say no. They start negotiating. Just 10 more minutes, please. Everyone else gets way more screen time than me. Empathy first, boundary second. I know you're frustrated. You were really into that game, and it's hard to stop when you're having fun. The answer is still no. Screen time is done for today. You're not being mean. You're not dismissing their experience. You're teaching them that they can feel disappointed and survive it. That's the whole point. Here's what happens over time when you use this approach consistently. Your child learns that melting down doesn't change the outcome, but it's still safe to express their feelings. They start to calm down faster because they're not escalating to try to change your mind. They know the boundary is firm, and they begin to build the internal skills to tolerate frustration because they're practicing it every single time. Here's where most parents get stuck. They're trying to stop the meltdown instead of teaching the skill of frustration tolerance. Those are two very different things. Stopping the meltdown usually means giving in, or distracting, or negotiating until the child calms down. Teaching frustration tolerance means letting them feel the discomfort and coaching them through it. Here's what teaching the skill actually looks like. When your child starts to escalate after hearing no, you stay calm. This is non-negotiable. If you escalate with them, if you get louder, frustrated, or angry, you're teaching them that big emotions are dangerous and need to be controlled through more intensity. Instead, you stay regulated. You lower your voice. You keep your body language neutral. You might even sit down to become less physically imposing. Then you acknowledge what they're feeling. You're really upset right now. I can see that. You don't try to talk them out of their feelings. You don't explain why the rule makes sense. Not yet. Not in the middle of the meltdown. You just observe and validate. If they're young or if they're really escalated, you might offer a co-regulation tool. Do you want to take some deep breaths with me? Or should we go to the calm corner together? You're not forcing them. You're offering support. And then, this is the hard part. You wait. You give them time and space to move through the emotion. You don't rush them. You don't try to fix it. You just stay present and calm while they learn that they can feel disappointment and come out the other side. Once they're calm, and only once they're calm, you can briefly revisit. That was hard. You were really upset and you got through it. I'm proud of you. That's it. No lecture. No, see, it wasn't that bad. Just acknowledgement that they managed a difficult emotion. Here's what's happening in their brain when you do this consistently. They're learning that frustration doesn't last forever. They're learning that they have the internal capacity to regulate. They're building neural pathways that say, I can survive disappointment. That's the skill, and it only gets built through practice. All right, let's get practical. Here are specific strategies you can use starting today to help your child build frustration tolerance. Strategy 1. Practice with low-stakes situations. Don't wait until you're saying no to something huge. Build the skill during small, manageable moments. Play a board game where your child doesn't win. Resist the urge to let them win just this once. Let them experience losing and coach them through it. I know it's frustrating to lose. It's okay to feel disappointed. Want to play again? Have them wait for something small. Dinner will be ready in 10 minutes. I know you're hungry. Let's set a timer and you can help me set the table while we wait. These low-stakes repetitions build the skill without the emotional intensity of bigger disappointments. You're giving their brain practice runs. Strategy 2. Prepare them in advance. Your child will handle no better if they're not blindsided by it. Before you go to the store, we're going to Target to get new socks. We're not buying toys today. If you ask for a toy, the answer will be no. Before screen time ends, you have 10 more minutes. Then we're turning off the tablet. I'm going to give you a 5-minute warning. When they know what to expect, their nervous system doesn't react as strongly. You're reducing the surprise factor and giving them time to mentally prepare. Strategy 3. Offer a yes within the no. This is where you give them something even though you're saying no to what they asked for. Let's say they ask for candy before dinner. No candy before dinner, and after dinner you can choose between a cookie or some fruit for dessert. Let's say they want to stay up late. No staying up late tonight. And on Friday we can have a special late night movie. You're teaching them that no doesn't mean you never get anything. It just means not this, not now. That makes the boundary easier to accept. Strategy 4. Use visual supports for kids who need them. If your child has ADHD, autism, or is a visual learner, abstract concepts like waiting or frustration tolerance are hard to grasp. Make it concrete. Create a frustration thermometer where they can point to how frustrated they're feeling. This gives them a way to communicate without escalating. Time is abstract. A visual timer makes it concrete. Make a things I can do when I'm frustrated chart. Take deep breaths, squeeze a stress ball, draw my feelings, ask for a hug. When they're calm, practice these tools. Then when they're escalated, you can point to the chart. Strategy 5. Celebrate the small wins. Every single time your child accepts no without a massive meltdown, even if they're grumpy about it, acknowledge it. You were disappointed when I said no, but you didn't yell or throw anything. That took a lot of control. I'm really proud of you. They need to know that managing frustration is hard, and you see them trying. That positive reinforcement is what motivates them to keep practicing. Here's what I need you to remember. Building frustration tolerance is a long game. You're not going to do this for a week and have it magically fixed. Your child's nervous system needs repetition for those new brain pathways to solidify. They need hundreds of small practices where they experience disappointment, feel the emotion, and come through it okay. This is especially true if your child is wired differently. If they have ADHD or autism, their emotion regulation develops more slowly, sometimes years behind their peers. If they have anxiety, their nervous system is already primed to perceive no as a threat. If they have sensory sensitivities, their threshold for frustration is lower to begin with. That doesn't mean they can't build the skill. It means they need more time, more patience, and more support than a neurotypical child might need. And here's the truth. Every time you stay calm when they melt down, every time you hold a boundary with empathy, every time you let them feel disappointed and coach them through it, you're doing the work. You're building the skill. It might not feel like it in the moment when they're screaming on the floor, but I promise you, it's working. All right, that's it for today. Remember, when your child melts down at the word no, it's not because they're manipulating you or because you've failed them. It's because they're underpracticed in frustration tolerance. And if they're wired differently, their nervous system makes this even harder. The fix? Get comfortable saying no. Use empathy first, boundary second. Teach the skill by staying calm and letting them practice moving through disappointment. And give them low-stakes opportunities to build frustration tolerance before the high-stakes moments hit. If this was helpful, hit subscribe so next week's episode shows up automatically. And here's a bonus. Head to my website at www.climbingfishparenting.com to grab my free frustration tolerance scripts and practice guide. It's got word-for-word scripts you can use in the moment, plus low-stakes practice activities to build this skill with your kid. Just pop in your email and I'll send it right over. That strategy I just gave you, it's the whole climbing fish philosophy in action. There's a quote, everybody's a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing it's stupid. Your kid isn't broken. Your parenting isn't broken. Sometimes we're just asking our fish to climb trees. That's what we fix here. I'm Dr. Christy, and I'll see you next week.